Okay, so guys, welcome to our webinar about the elevators testing on the interview. And right now, together with me, we have Gennady and Vyacheslav, and I will repeat for our future listeners that they both are students of our courses. Gennady already graduated from the course, and right now he's working as intern in our internship. And Vyacheslav is just started the course. He has completed the Linux module, and right now started the module about the databases. So we have a bit different order in the group number 3. This is for Gennady, for you. And today we will try to answer possible question of an interviewer. How you would test the elevator. And this is a plan for today's webinar. Firstly, I would like to discuss the question why they ask such silly questions on interviews. We probably will not test the elevators. We will probably test the software. So why do they need the answer to that type of questions on the interview? Then we will consider some pure requirements for an elevator, because at the interview you probably will not get some detailed requirements. You probably will get some short requirements, maybe in a pair of words, and I will explain why so. It is connected with the first item, actually. And I already introduced our participants. We will talk with both of them, and we will try to compare that both answers. And then we'll ask you, who are participants on the webinar, will ask you about your version of the elevator testing. And at the end, I would like to give a feedback if the answer to this question from our respectful participants was enough to be hired to the position of QE engineer, or it is not enough. Okay, so let's start from answering the first question. Why do they expect you to test the elevator on the interview? Actually, it is connected with two main things. One thing is you need a special type of mind to be a tester. You need a system approach. And it is not a good idea to check your system approach, your ability to structure the information by giving you some tasks like test the software, test the function, test the functionality, some user account or login functionalities, or anything else, because such functionality is the functionality you are familiar with typically. And it is not like pure experiment for you. And it is not a way to check how your mind is working. It is only a way to check how you are able to resolve some testing tasks that you are familiar with already. So, so they typically are trying to give you some unexpected object, like a pencil or an elevator or a book or a cup or anything else. So typically the interviewer just looking around and find some object around him or her, some cup or something or book, and propose you to test this object. It is unexpected situation for you, and you probably will not have an experience in testing such strange things. You have, if you have some experience, this is experience with the software, okay? But to check how your mind is working, they give you that type of strange objects. But together with these unexpected things, together with your mind checking, they wanna test how you are able to use your testing knowledge for this strange object. Because if you are able to map your knowledge about the testing types, about the test design, and so on, if you are able to map this knowledge to any object, probably you will be able to map this knowledge to the software, any type of software, any type of task, okay? Ability to work with poor requirements here. Ability to understand who are users and why we create this application. Ability to use the information that is not enough, for example. Ability to apply your knowledge about exploratory testing. And of course, ability to work with any non-standard tasks. Because for any tester, this is a very important skill. Okay, let's start with the requirements to our elevator. Okay, let me admit our new participants. Give me a moment. They are joining. Guys, welcome. It is pity that you was not in time, but I hope you can see this webinar in recording after the webinar. Okay, so right now we are on the requirements to our elevator. This is not real requirements, of course, because I suppose that the requirements to any elevator is a big book with a lot of pages, a lot of schemas. And here we have just a pair of words about our elevator. So let's imagine that we have an elevator in some house. We have 10 floors in the house. And so our elevator can move from the first floor or ground floor, you can call it you can call it ground if you want, to the last floor, to 10th floor. And as for the additional requirements, we know about the cargo capacity. This is 500 kilo. We know that this elevator has brakes that is created for emergency situations. And this is a passenger's elevator, not for cargo, but for passengers only. So it is not very big, it is like small, typical elevator like probably you have in your house. So what could we do with these requirements? Gennady and Vyacheslav, who wants to start? Who wants to be the first one?
I can start.
Again?
Okay, Vyacheslav,
Okay.
You can start.
Hello, Lily. Hello, everyone. My thoughts about these requirements. It is not enough, as I think, but it's enough to start understanding in testing. We know how many floors, what type of elevator, capacity, yeah, and just one thing about emergency situation. We have some things to start any type of testing, functional or non-functional. Still we can test something, especially functionality testing. We have something at least.
Okay, so could you please propose some particular tests? What you will do with this elevator?
The first things, it's functional. Go up and down by call, and maybe automatically it goes down. Yeah, that's just my logic. Open, close doors at the right position in the shaft. That's pretty important thing. Go to the right floor when it's called. Keep doors open manually by pushing button. Open doors and also close doors when we're pushing the such button. We should test algorithm of which choose priority of orders. Yeah, when two people calls from different floors, and it means in such position or just order of push the button for the elevator speed and gates opening, but we don't know such requirements, but still correct display of the current floor on the screen if we have one. I think maybe we have. About non-functionality, we could max and minimum load size of our elevator. We know the capacity, but we know nothing about width, height, and length of our cabin. I think it's important for us. Quantity of the floor buttons. We should have 10 floor buttons and 3 additional. Quantity in GI testing, that's materials, font of numeration, illumination in the cabin, accessibility test, like Braille font on the buttons. Also, we can use localization testing, because not all the countries for Russia, for example, yeah, for Russia, the first floor it's actually the ground floor. For maybe in some European country, the first floor it's like the second one. Yeah. Also, we will have some screen. We should have right language on it. Load testing, also important thing for our elevator. For load testing, we could at every floor someone calls elevator at the same time, and it should do the right positions and catch everyone. Volume testing, for example, a big mass of people calls elevator from different floors and goes on elevator back and forth for an hour. Stress testing, maximum number of people goes to the cabin. Safety testing. I think safety first in elevators deals. For example, when there's more than maximal capacity weight in the cabin, sensor should block the doors open. Also, while doors open, elevator can't go anywhere. Elevator breaks in case of emergency. As I see, it's standard algorithm when, for example, fire emergency turns on, our elevator open its doors on the first floor, and it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Basically, I think that's the main things of the testing. I have in my mind some additional testing, like additional design or something, but actually we don't have such requirements to know that.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Vyacheslav. It was impressive, really. For the guys and girls who just joined us, Vyacheslav is our student, and he's just at the start of our course. He completed only Linux module, and he didn't know yet about the test design a lot. I hope he will in 1 or 2 months. And right now we just can see how the mind is working, and I think that Vyacheslav's mind working pretty good. Okay, but to make your interview impressed, you probably better to concentrate on functional testing as well. And I think I would like to ask Gennady to do it, to think about how to test the functionality of the elevator and maybe a bit more things about the control panel and maybe some test design methodology. What do you think, Gennady?
Okay. First of all, I think it better to test the requirements. I see some misprint in the word bricks in case of emergency. And the control panel is like 1, 2, 3, 4 I think it's better be in a row, like 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's unnecessary. And what about functional? First of all, I think we need to do some quick smoke test to prove that the elevator is working in general, and trying to call the elevator from first floor, enter the elevator, and move into like 7th floor, and repeat these actions with some test design methods, like we test some web application or something like that. We can call the elevator from first floor and move into 10th floor.
Okay. Okay.
It's equivalency classes. I don't know how it in English.
Equivalence classes. Okay.
Yes.
So,
from 10 to 9, from like second to first.
Okay.
It's borders of our.
Okay. I'm not sure in the borders here. Let's think together, Vyacheslav and Gennady and everybody who is participating in our webinar today. What will be the boundary value for the elevator? So we have numbers here from 1 to 10, and we know that this is an elevator. And we know that in some cases, the elevator could move. In some other cases, the elevator will not move. So what could we do with this? Okay, we are trying to move from the first floor to the last one, to the 10th. And what could we do?
We need to think about some cases where elevator stops, or what?
Vyacheslav is raising his hand.
Yeah.
Vyacheslav?
I think we should test when we for example, at the 5th floor, and push the button the 5th floor, and take a look what the elevator will do.
Yes, great. That's exactly the test that I expect from you right now. Okay. So we are testing two situations here. When the elevator will move and when the elevator will not move. Okay. And which floor is the most useful? Which floor we use the most often? First, yes. So if you want to test the elevator, and if you want to test the case when the elevator will not move, you can use the first floor, because this is the business case. This is the floor that we are using most often. Okay, and okay, let's proceed with structuring our tests. We divided our tests of the elevator, our test for moving, into two big groups: when the elevator is moving and when the elevator is not moving. How could we divide further? Which group could be divided into which group into several groups or 2 groups maybe.
Maybe positive and negative testing.
Positive and negative, okay, but we are not talking about the theory of testing right now. We are talking about the tests themselves. So the elevator is moving where? Up and down. Alexander wrote in the chat, up and down, exactly. Our elevator could move up or could move down. So we right now we have 3 groups of 3 classes, 3 groups of tests. Elevator is not moving, elevator is moving up, elevator is moving down. Okay. So this is about moves of the elevator. Okay.
Typically, we when we know such requirements, like 3 conditions of our elevator, we can do the metrics, test metrics.
Yes, exactly. This is correct. We can use test metrics here. We have few tests for moving right now, but anyway, metrics, test metrics is very useful thing. Okay. Okay, what else could we do with move?
We can test some cases with not moving.
Okay,
emergency stops or stop for loading some things, you know, like too many people or some load boxes or in elevator.
Okay. Great.
Like we can try to send the empty lift to some floor. We can test case when we call the operator to the opening and closing the doors of elevator by pressing the buttons.
But it is actually not about moving.
Okay.
But we can do it while moving. Try to do it.
Yes, but this is an important notice, and you should mention it in your speech that we are doing it while moving, not while our lift stops. Okay. Okay. What else?
We can try to push simultaneously 2 or 3 buttons. And
Yes. Okay. Will the test be positive or negative?
I think that's negative test because that's one person touch one button. That's I think actually we should have some instruction, how to use this thing, and there should be just one one hour finger for one button at the same time.
Okay, Gennady, are you agree with Vyacheslav?
I don't agree. It is a negative test. I think it's positive test, and the elevator should operate with this pushing the buttons and I have a nice idea to test. It's like when lift is between the floors, stops between the floors, or we can push the buttons on when the elevator is, for example, on the fifth floor, and we call the elevator on 10, on second floor, on seventh floor, and how it will move in from which one, and will it stops on a on some
position.
Some position, yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, so we divided our moving test cases, our moving class, into one more test sets. We decompose our class into one more test set. Moving with stops. Yes, or stops and move. Okay. So actually, I'm trying to make a structure from your speech, because you have a lot of great ideas, but on the interview, the thing that will impress your interviewer is a structure of your answer. And when our ideas will be over, we will see how to structure our tests in the software, and together with this to structure in your mind. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay. This is about moving. Guys on the webinar, maybe you have some more ideas regarding the moving of the elevator. You can use your voice, or you can write to the chat, up to you. Okay, so we probably completed, I don't know, completed if or not, but probably we completed the set of tests for the elevator move. What about the additional requirements? Okay, we have stress elevator, run, jump, etc. Okay, Alexander, this is correct, but this is not about the functionality. Right now, we are trying to test the functionality of our elevator, and we definitely will move to the non-functional testing a bit later. Okay, so what could we understand from the requirements? What is the functionality tests here? Some limits, maybe some combination with the functionality that we already discussed.
It's not functional requirements, I think, but it's very important requirements.
Okay.
We can test it in some non-functional tests, like load testing for cargo capacity.
Okay.
We can test brakes, modulate some emergency cases, and see what's happened when the this theme. What?
Okay.
Also, I want to add, additional information that the elevator is passengers. That means someone should be there when exactly someone should be there when it goes up or down.
Mm-hmm.
That's just logically.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
because for cargo lifts or lifts for something like food or something, they could go without minimum capacity. That's just how.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that was my that was my next question for you. How many people will be in your elevator when you will test the functionality, when you will test the moves?
At least one.
At least one, yes, okay. And what will be the weight of this one person?
We don't have a minimum weight in the requirements, but exactly I know that such person wouldn't be more than 500 kilos.
Uh-huh.
Average man with the
who is an average man? Or average woman, maybe average kid.
average human being.
Average human being. Why human being? Maybe it will be a cat or a dog.
Maybe.
Okay. So my next question, and how you will get the information about the minimal weight? We have no minimal weight in the requirements, but how can you get this information?
We can get it from the, for example, in Russia, yeah, we have special standards for passengers elevators, and they protect it not just for like production or seller of the elevators things the weight, but they protect it for special weight which should be protect the child, small child from ghost there, or cat or dog. Yeah, and I think we just can look through some specs for lifts,
yes.
like
yes.
government paper.
Yes, yes. Okay. So your question will be in what country our elevator will be moving, will be functioning. Okay, and you can be based on the laws of this particular country to know this information. Yes, this is correct. Okay, guys on the webinar, what do you think? Maybe you can imagine some other tests for the elevator, some other cases. Okay.
We can try to operate this elevator for 20 hours without stops. We can try to jump while moving. Yes, we can drop it from the high and we can add to electricity network,
Mhm.
very high voltage, and
Yes,
see what
yes.
happens. Mm.
Mhm. Okay, and when this is great because just believe me, when you switch your fantasy on in the interview, this is a big plus for you. So if you will be in such a situation on a real interview, start from some traditional tests. Don't forget to mention that you know about positive and negative and functional, non-functional, and blah, blah, blah. But when you will think about some unreal situations, it will be a plus, actually. So these are some unreal situations, on maybe not unreal, but not very typical situations on the next slide. And let's try to think how can we can we reproduce the situations. So the elevator is flying somewhere to the hell. How can we reproduce it?
We can, as a tester in some fabric, we can have some testing shaft with testing elevator and do the same tests as our colleagues in cars production do pretty well, crashing their cars. Yeah, we can crash a couple of elevators, for example. Yeah,
I think not couple, but a lot of elevators.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the same safety of our personnel, we can do some copy of the real person. Yeah, not alive, and do our tests. But many variants, like program emulation. Yeah, it was the cheapest one.
Okay. Great. Gennady, maybe you have something to add?
In this situation, when the lift is falling down, or another ideas test at general. Okay, we can test like flooding in water.
Okay.
Like emergency situation with the fire and what happens when the fire in building and people inside the elevator. We can test what happens if the electricity is shut down when the elevator is between the floors. We can test there's a lot of things. We can test the buttons for anti-vandalism, you know.
Fire the buttons.
Yes, fire the buttons with cigarettes.
Okay.
And we can test the accessibility for disabled persons, for children. We can test the UI of the elevator, like it's comfortable to push the buttons. Can the children to get to the buttons? Can the mom with the children can get this. I don't know, this transport for children with wheels to get in the elevator. and has it a security like cameras to see what happens when the people in it.
Okay, I would like to ask you, what is the accessibility for children? Should it be accessible for children at all?
I think yes, it will. Children are using elevators,
but not themselves, only with adults.
Yes, but it's rules. But sometimes it has a situations when the children could use it without the adults. I think it's my opinion. Maybe maybe it's not like
Okay.
this.
Okay. Alexander wrote, try to open doors while moving by pressing open door button. Try to open door by hand as well, and safety tests. Yes, great. And that's all about such unexpected situations. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else maybe have something else?
We can also test pressure of our gates, because maybe it's too hard for people or just doesn't work.
Okay, great.
Theoretically, we can do security testing, like if we have some private requirements, like some private floor which use some combination
Great.
of buttons to go there. Yeah.
For Men in Black, yeah, some security floor. And your mission is impossible to get there. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
We can test what happens when the people are in the shaft when the elevator is moving. Not on the real people, of course, but we need to check this situation.
Yeah,
where
okay.
if the lift is descending to the first floor, and if the person here can he hide from the moving elevator in this place, in this space.
This is something from Mythbusters, I think, right?
Yeah.
Will it be dangerous if somebody will be in the shaft? Okay. This is one of my favorite show. Love it very much. Okay, so anybody else? Okay, so what do we have right now, guys? We have a lot of different tests. We have functional, non-functional, something from these buttons, something from moving, something from emergency situations, a lot of tests. But your primary task on the interview, not only to think about all these situations and to sound them to your interviewer. Your primary task is to try to make a structure from all that, because if your interviewer will be boring about your answer, it will mean for you that you will not pass the interview. So try to show you as a very structured person, very systematic, very person who is able to organize the information. And of course, at the interview, you will not be able to use a mind map, though why not? Maybe you will have at least a pen and a paper to draw the mind map. But anyway, to train structuring the information using the mind map is a very useful thing. What is mind map in a pair of words? Because I hope that everybody knows what is it. This is the way to structure the information when our main topic that we are thinking right now about is at the center of the mind map. And we are trying to decompose this main topic into several ones. And that ones into more subtopics. And as a result, we have such three. Alexander asks, is it a black box testing approach? Actually, it is not linked with some particular testing approach. You can use mind map for any approach, for white box, for black box, for unit tests, for managing your tests, any cases when you have to structure the information. And right now I will show you how we can structure all the tests that we thought about right now on the webinar, just to make your interview impressed. So let's switch to the tool. This is an Xmind. And this is the center of our mind map. Here we have only one word, elevator. And we are trying to think about the tests. So I press the tab button to create this main topic. We could go from types or levels of testing, or we could go from the functionality. If we are going from the functionality, we could use the classification that we had during the webinar, for example, that move, moving, and standing, or maybe moves, elevator moves, or elevator stands. Okay. And we had the cargo maximum, like we can cargo. We had the information about the type of our elevator. We know that it is passengers, so probably we should do something with passengers. Okay, what else do we have? Emergency. Probably something else, and let it be Mythbusters in our mind. Okay, so And we are creating the subtopics from our topic. Moves up and down, up, down, with stop between, with the stop. What else we did?
Open doors, open and close doors.
Yes, so doors, while move, and maybe one more decomposition, open and close, and so on. Stance, our elevator stands without pressing the button, with pressing the same the current floor button. And so on. And buttons. And so on. Okay. Cargo.
Maximum.
Maximum, yes.
Overload.
Overload. Stress testing. Okay. Minimal. I don't know what is the minimal.
Empty.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. 0. And something between. Like how did it call? Real man or average man? Okay. I don't know if it is average or not. Okay. Passengers. How many passengers do we have? Maybe
6.
1 or
1, 2.
2.
And
Several.
and I think 6 because logically
Yes.
500 kilos. It's about 6 persons. We just should know how could they be in such cabin, all the 6 people.
Okay. Some emergency, fire, water, something else. I don't know.
Shut down electricity.
Shut down electricity, yes.
Flood.
And so on. I don't remember how to.
Shaft.
Okay. Buttons. 1 pressed. Several pressed. Together. 1 by 1.
And I want to about close and open together pressed. I think that's vice versa buttons, and that's the most interesting case. I think.
Okay, so that are the ideas, not all the ideas that we had today, but I would like to show you the principle. That are the ideas. And right now, you could map that ideas to your real testing types, okay? So functional and not functional. And not functional is security.
Load, stress.
Security, yes. Load.
Installation.
Installation, probably, why not?
Like in St. Petersburg, external elevators on the side of the building.
Okay. So, buttons, what is it? I think functionality. Mythbusters, this is some non-functional, let it be stress. Here, and emergency is the same. How many passengers will be
Functional.
Functional. Moves.
Functional.
Functional.
Functional. What
is it?
Not functional.
Not functional.
Load, yes.
Load or stress. And what do we have? We have a beautiful tree.
Wow.
With, yes, with all our ideas for the elevator testing. And when on the interview, you will explain like that. So for example, let's start from our functional tests. Let's begin with buttons. When we are trying to test buttons, we could divide our buttons class into two equivalence classes. When one button pressed and when several buttons pressed. And the second class we could divide into more subclasses when buttons pressed together and buttons pressed one by one. And you could explain that some tests are negative, some tests are positive. Okay, and you will do the same with all that ideas that you have in mind. So when you have some tasks on the interview, don't try to make your ideas visible for your interviewers right after the question. Ask for 2 minutes to think about. It is okay. And if your interviewer is not okay with 2 minutes thinking, just run from this company and never return. And when you have these 2 minutes, just structure the information that you have in mind. You can draw such tree, you can list all that. It's up to you because everybody has different way of thinking. For me, for example, mind map is a very convenient instrument, but probably for you, list will be a more convenient instrument than this one, or maybe block scheme or something. Okay, but anyway, try to make a structure from your ideas. Okay.
Svetlana, we hear you.
Svetlana, please mute. Okay.
Yes, it's good. It's good advice to decompose everything to from bigger to smaller.
Yeah, The composition is always good, and another good thing connected with the decomposition and connected with, for example, this particular instrument, when you are doing like that, you see when you have holes, when your functionality is not covered. Because if you will think about passengers together with buttons, together with cargo, together with installation of the lift, you probably will miss some tests. But if you structure like this, you have this passengers idea, you have this branch, and when you see this branch, you are concentrated with this particular on this particular idea, and you could think that yes, we should have one or two or several or maximum passengers, and you will not miss something. Okay, guys, that's all actually from my side. For now, that's all I would like to share with you about the elevator testing on the interview. You can use it not for the elevator, not only for the elevator, of course, but for any subject and for the software as well, of course. And if you have some questions, please feel free to ask right now. Maybe in the chat or just by voice.
Lilia, my question is it important in the interview not also not only make tests, but make something like simple test design or something?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think, yes, it is important to show that you know about the test design. So, but don't describe your interviewer the definition of a Collins class, for example, because it is not interesting, actually. The interesting thing is how you can use this knowledge in practice. Because when you will be a real tester, when you will be working on a real project, you will not be asked to explain the definition of boundary value, for example. You will be asked to complete some practical task. And you should show that, yes, you know that what boundary value is, but on some practical task. If we are talking about this elevator, for example, you can explain that, okay, right now we are trying to make some load testing of the elevator. We know that the maximal value of our cargo is 500 kilo, and here 500 kilogram is a boundary value, and that's why we should use it for testing. It is mandatory because boundary values are very, very important. So and this way you've shown that you know what boundary value is and you know how to use it and why. And the same with any methods of test design.
For example, in this particular case, should, for example, I said that we can use black and gray box here, like example, yeah.
Yeah. So we should use the black box because we are thinking about the user behavior with this elevator, and if we are talking about the black box, we mean that we will test the elevator moving up and down. Here it is functional testing. And we definitely need the gray box as well, because in a real situation, probably we should test the behavior of the elevator when some emergency situations appear. And in this case, we should use the gray box. For example, we could switch the electricity off. This is the gray box if we are talking about the elevator. And we should know where we can do it, where we could switch our electricity off or something else. So we should know the schema, we should know how our elevator is functioning inside. And of course, we should keep gray box in mind as well.
Could it be the example of gray box testing that we know as a rule the first floor it's the most usable floor in the elevator?
No, this is not a gray box. This is a black box because this is the user's position. We know it because we have some statistics, some business requirements, and this is about how the elevator will be used. And gray box is about what is inside the elevator, not about the business cases or how we will use it. Okay. Guys, do you have some more questions? Don't shy. Feel free to ask.
As I see this testing plan, we can do the different tests at the same time, like several tests will be covered by the one test case, I think. Like boundary tests or about stopping and etc.
Yeah, I've got your question. Thank you. And the answer is yes, we could combine some tests, but it is better to understand what are we testing right now and try to isolate one test from others. Okay, we will talk about this on the course, of course, but just for now. For example, if you will test the maximal cargo 500 kilos, test it with normal behavior of the elevator. So the elevator is moving up, for example, with 500 kilograms. And better to test this moving up without boundary value, firstly, just to be sure that this is the boundary value is the reason of failing some situation when our elevator will not be working. Because if you will combine two tests like 500 and moving up, and you will not be testing the moving up without such a maximal numbers of cargo, you will have some additional checks after this test, because you will not be sure what is the reason, moving up or that boundary value. Maybe that elevator cannot move up at all without any other reasons, with any cargos. Okay, so try to make it atomic. Okay, guys, if you have no more questions, I would like to thank you for participating, especially our beautiful students, Gennady, who has already graduated from our course and now in the internship, and Vyacheslav, who is not graduated still, but he is in progress. He is at the beginning of the course.
Thank you, Lilia, for such opportunity.
Thank
yes,
you.
It was interesting.
Thank you for your help, and see you in class.
See you. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye.
And thank you, everybody, for participating in the webinar. And that's all for today. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.